Then in for the two games on Sunday. For the first one, the Bucks are plus 6.5 at the Lions, over under 48.5. The Lions won week 6 in Tampa 20-6. Last week, Jared Goff was really impressive in the first half. He had a great first half, but he really cooled off in the second half. And I think this week he's going to have to be able to play a full game versus the Bucks defense. This Bucks defense has started to play like they did the year they won the Super Bowl with Brady, and that was a great defense. We saw what they were able to do to Mahomes. I know people said Mahomes didn't have an offensive line, but we saw what they were able to do last week to the Eagles. Jalen Hurts had no time. They were bringing zero. They were disguising blitzes. They were playing man. They were getting in the receiver's face, and they were rallying to make a tackle. I think the Lions are really going to struggle with that. I don't know if the Lions are going to be able to run the ball. We've seen how good this Bucks defense is against the run the ball. The Eagles got completely away from the run because they weren't able to run it. And they want to make you one-dimensional. They want to make you draw back and pass it. And really, for the Bucks, it all comes down to Baker. Baker can play well, not turn the ball over, and I don't want to say manage the game, but basically manage the game because their defense is so good. They have a chance. They have a chance to make the Super Bowl. I like the Bucks plus 6.5. I think it's hard to beat an experienced team twice in a season. I know this time the Lions are at home, but it's still hard. The confidence the Bucks offense has, like, you can just see it. The way Baker played last week, I think he threw for over 300 yards. I know the Eagles' defense is horrible. Their secondary sucks. Baker had people running wide open, but he also had a couple drops. If Mike Evans doesn't drop some of those passes, Baker throws for over 400 yards, which is crazy. Baker's completely changing the narrative about him, especially if he can win this game. I don't think Aiden Hutchinson will be able to get as much pressure as some people think. And I don't know how the Lions are going to match up with, Evans and Godwin, because we saw what Puka was able to do. Godwin plays the same type of position that Puka does. I think the Lions have to pick one, and I think they're going to pick Godwin because they don't want what happened last week to happen. And I think Mike Evans has a huge day. I think the Bucks are able to make the Lions drop back and pass and kind of stop the run, which in turn is not going to, is going to lead to them their play action not being as successful, not being able to get people to step up and throw it over them. And I think the Bucks are able to go into Detroit and cover this game. I think you're looking at the Lions to win by a touchdown. I think that's just a little too much. For the biggest game everybody's talking about, can Josh Allen finally get it done against Mahomes? We have the Chiefs plus 2.5 at the Bills, over under 45.5. This might be the first time in his career that Patrick Mahomes is an underdog in the playoffs, maybe, or at least since his first year in the playoffs when he ended up losing to Brady in the conference championship at home. These teams played in Week 14, and the Bills won it 20-17 in Arrowhead. Like I said, the Bills don't have a problem beating the Chiefs in the regular season. It's in the postseason. Mahomes is 2-0 versus Allen. But this is the first time they're going to be playing in Buffalo in the playoffs, and this is the first time Mahomes is going on the road in the playoffs. I wonder, if that's going to affect him at all. I think it will. I think it's not only going to affect him, but their young receivers. I think their defense still plays well, but I don't think they're used to going on the road and playing. Like, they haven't played on the road in, will this be 6 years? I think it is 5 years, 6 years. They haven't played a road playoff game. That's going to be new to them. The whole day-to-day, the travel, all that, I think it's going to throw them off a little bit. And they did look their best last week. However, I don't know how much you can look into that because it was the Dolphins and it was on the road and it was so cold. We know how bad the Dolphins were on the road to begin this, during the season anyway, but then you add that cold element. I don't take it away from the Chiefs because they look good, but I wouldn't look too much into it. The question I do have, though, is if Josh Allen loses this game, what's the conversation around him? Obviously, I think if the Bills lose this game, they have to blow it up. They can't continue with this team. They have to make a change, whatever that is. But if Josh Allen doesn't win this, he's just a quarterback that puts up numbers and can't win the big game. And if he doesn't win this, I don't want to hear the conversation about Mahomes and Allen is like Brady and Manning, because Allen can't beat him. The only person that can beat Mahomes is Joe Burrow. They're 1-1 against each other in the playoffs. Mahomes maybe got away with one last year. Probably should have lost that, but Joe Burrow is 3-1 against Mahomes right now. So, the Allen conversation, whatever. But back to the game. I wonder which team can get the run game going. I think that's going to be crucial. But I like the Bills money line -135. Like I said, first row game for Mahomes. If the Bills lose, they're going to blow it up. Like I think the Bills. This is what they've been waiting for. They've been waiting for this rematch, and I think they'll be ready for it. It's the most beatable the Chiefs have been. And like I said, I don't hold much into their win last week against the Dolphins. The added element of the Bills' run game the last two and a half months of the season is crucial. The Bills have never had a run game going up against Mahomes. It's all been on Allen. Now they kind of can take that pressure off of him. Also, one added thing, I think he was elevated. He played a couple weeks ago, and if he gets I think the Bills are going to elevate him if he's not still elevated, and I think he might have a breakout game. Playoff Leonard Fournette. We saw what he was able to do in the playoffs a couple of years ago with Brady. Hasn't played that much this season. The Bills picked him up like week 12, 13. I think he's only played in spots. He played the other week. I think they bring him back and they pound Kansas City with him. I think he comes in and I think he makes a huge impact on this game, catching the ball, blocking, and running the ball for the Bills. And for my favorite player props, I have 3 for this weekend. Mike Evans over 70.5 receiving yards. He had multiple drops last week. Without the drops, he would have hit this. He had 3 catches for 48 yards. So all of his catches last week were in big chunks. And we saw what Puka was able to do against the Lions. I know Puka went off and then Cooper Kupp didn't have a good game. So maybe, you either pick Godwin or you pick Evans for the Bucks. But I like Evans to get it. That is all I have for the divisional round in the NFL on Saturday and Sunday. We'll see you next week for the conference championships